Ja, en dames en heren, het is ongelooflijk, maar ze is hier. Helemaal uit Jeruzalem. Mag een ongelooflijk groot applaus voor deze al in. Ilana, Rachel, Daniel! Ilana, Rachel.
Thank you. Yeah. It really is a genuine pleasure to be here. Black Box and I are forever connected by this interview exactly 2 years ago this month. And I have genuinely felt connection to the Dutch people who received me then and now with open hearts and open minds. That interview, as it turned out, was the last time I was able to get a video onto YouTube. And it's been an extraordinary experience, this wall of censorship that we who shout to be heard bang our voices against. So platforms such as this have become more than a media outlet, but rather a vital vessel to pass information and ideas between us and through us so that we might navigate a world that's become all but unrecognizable. We have been drawn into a great and mighty war, another Tower of Babel encounter that this time includes each one of us, and it's waged on every front. From a parasitic surveillance that's infested every corner of our lives as it mines and violates our sacred right to privacy. The battle for our health, for medical and scientific integrity, for clean food and our right to grow it, I don't need to tell you, dear Netherlands, for our children and their right to an unadulterated childhood of skinned knees and 5 senses discovery. To the battlefront of our minds, where the psyops of half-truths and deliberate lies have so utterly confounded us, truth with a big T is entirely out of reach. It happened that I entered this battle from the one that I still defend, that of human 1.0. Back when my outrage focused on the gaping holes of vaccine safety, I understood that we were tampering with the very elements of biology and humankind. So when in December 2020, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu casually informed the public on national television that we'd all be vaccinated by the end of March, those years of research informed me what the dangers of an mRNA technology unleashed upon the public might result in. I never imagined that we would watch the falling bodies of TV anchors and athletes and not rage powerfully against the machine that reaped it. But while I peered down the rabbit hole of big pharma mafia and never saw the bottom, I did not yet imagine how wide the web was weaved. Today in Israel, it's been twice layered with 5G towers and a camera on every corner, no matter how remote. Biometric technology is required to leave and enter the country. Lucrative deals have been signed with the WHO to forward a digital healthcare overhaul of algorithms and AI. And plans have been announced for the construction of not 1, but 2 BioNTech factories in our tiny Holy Land. Bibi, back in the premiership despite it all, informs us of late that all that ubiquitous swabbing was not only for behavior modification, but for a genetic database that will be sold to the highest bidders. This brave new world is not the one the brochure had promised. So much has been lost. But as the grief clears, we see so very much has also been won. For we have come together across culture and across border and answered the question, what is the common denominator that we all share? And that answer, I believe, is empathy. Empathy for our fellow man, woman, and child. Empathy for the creatures that climb and creep and crawl. And empathy for the vital systems of life and planet that are so exquisitely complex, we've hardly scratched the surface. We have been stripped down to the bare threads of our humanity and compelled to define who we are and what we stand for. And that answer is rising out of us in a great collective roar. The driving will of humankind to do and become and to do better has never gathered in greater potency. The greatest gift that we who stand here and our wide-eyed brothers and sisters across the globe have been given is the realization of our responsibility and our accountability to one another, the planet, and all it hosts. We have learned the hard lesson that the guarding of our liberties cannot be outsourced. Data today is the pot of gold currency, and with it is being built a digital twin world to substitute the flesh and blood of our own. The probing theft of our data teaches its AI substitute with every click and like. Do not be misled into believing that we are the product. To quote Shoshana Zuboff, like the elephant poached for ivory, we are not the product. We are the abandoned carcass. The product is derived from the surplus ripped from our lives. People rightly say, if you want to know who is behind a scheme, to follow the money. I say, if you want to understand where this is headed, follow the children. It is they who are the target and for whom the metaverse is being constructed. Their sacrifice on the altar of cut-and-paste bodies is no social justice cause, but the gateway to a transhumanism that will see the merging of man and machine in endless pursuit of an unattainable perfection, of an unattainable control. The ego of man that imagines with endless slicing and splicing he can improve upon a body made almost perfect by God would be laughable if it weren't so treacherously lethal. Understand that what is ultimately sought is not money, but power over every minutia of creation, control over the functioning of all processes regenerative and fertile. For the twisted few do not deny the reigning source in God, but rather seek to overthrow him. And this is how we know they will never succeed. We can meanwhile build parallel systems of integrity and allow the clash of the titans to devour one another as they inevitably will. The 15-minute Mad Max Matrix, for which we've been groomed as a fait accompli, was not ordained by higher power, but only by Hollywood. In our deepest heart, we do not believe this will be the end to our human story. But it is entirely up to us how long and how bumpy the path through it will be. We could rise above the dystopia they manufacture. And we can do that once we act decisively as a whole, and when we recognize, as they lied so spectacularly about all things plandemic and ever since, so too have the divisive narratives we've been fed conquer us only for their benefit. We cannot allow hatred between us to go unchecked. For hate is rooted in fear, and we have now learned well fear can be molded to the shape of any face that might frighten. We know hate of the few always risks spreading to consume us all. Truly, we have never needed each other more. The less certain we are of the future, the more we must lean on a unity of spirit and take the risk to trust one another, because a life lived in suspicion and fear is not one which can bear fruit. We have been created with a myriad of perspectives, and the goal is not to never have conflict, but to know that it's precisely at the point of contention where opportunity is greatest to broaden and stretch so that we might become more than we were the day before. It is for this we have come. Evil today is not only incarnate as the boogeyman that now haunts us unabashed in broad daylight. It's the voice that convinces us that what we do doesn't matter. This is the greatest lie we have ever been told. It's the evil of doubt that chips away piece by piece at our will, for it is our will which is sourced in creation. Doubt prevents us from stepping out from under the dark cloud of their making to get busy tapping the uncapped potential of the moment. We cannot change the world, nor one another, but we can change our own perspective. and this in turn changes the world. There is still such beauty around us, and it is every much as real as the wretched. To not recognize it tells only half the story. And who, if not we, have been called to speak the truth to the best we are able. And so, I wish us all guidance, good health, and the bravery to say yes to life as many times as it takes. Because it is we who are writing the story, every bit as much as them. Take heart in the crystal clear clarity that there is no one but us to do this work. Joy is knowing and living your purpose. For we are people of good faith. We desire good and we seek it, and that is no small thing. We can live in gratitude for it each day. And we know it will be good in the end. If it's not good, it's not the end. Thank you.
Ja. Dames. Dames en heren, all the way from Jerusalem, Ilana, Rachel, Daniel.